May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. So welcome to another Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC Pupa of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. Today is a Life in Bali podcast, and it is a Rest in Peace podcast for Sarah Wormald. Sarah Ann Wormald, our dear friend who died recently at the very young age of 44. And we just had her funeral and cremation today in Nusa Dua here in Bali. Sarah was a diver who wrote Diving in Indonesia, the ultimate guide to the world's best dive spots, Bali, Komodo, Sulawesi, Papua, and more. So this podcast is a combination of two podcasts I did with Sarah years ago. The first one is from 2020, and it was an excerpt. The very first podcasts I did were sort of like a variety show, and then I stopped doing it like that, back in 2020. And so, and I, near the first of COVID, that's how I got into doing these things. So the first one was from April 28th, 2020. Then I took that out of that first longer podcast and made it into a standalone Life in Bali podcast on May 15th, 2021. And then the second one you're going to hear is another Life in Bali podcast from July 22nd, 2021. The part where she's talking is unedited. But, yeah, I just remember these podcasts have, intros and outros. So I'll listen to that and, cut stuff out of that. There's really no more that I need to say. Sarah, sorry you died so young. We will miss you. Love, David. So here's the first one. I wanted to bring in my friend Sarah here to talk about it, so I'm going to make a call to her now.
Hello?
Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Hey, nice picture, nice Skype picture here, very nice.
Thank you very much.
So, Sarah, we were walking to the beach the other day with Bondi, keeping a good distance apart and wearing wearing masks as we are required to do. We were talking about the number of virus cases there are here, how slowly it's climbing, and how few deaths. And you mentioned something about the way they keep records, death records. Would you refresh my mind on that?
Yeah, it's more the way they don't keep death references and records. So, yeah, especially on Nusa Lembongan, there's no official record of deaths at all. It's merely a case of have a cremation or a burial and then a cremation later, but there's nothing officially recorded over on mainland Bali. And I suspect the case is the same for the other rural areas of Bali also.
Yeah, so that would take a whole study to figure out what percentage is being reported. you said something like, and there's no markers on the graves or something. I said, well, there's umbrellas. And then you said, well, that's before they're cremated. So go on from there, would you?
Yeah. So if the family cannot afford the cremation ceremony at the time of the death, they bury the body until they have enough money saved for the cremation. Now,
right?
Yes, they do. And because they believe that when the body is in the ground, the person has not yet passed over the side and then properly dead yet. And can I tell you another funny story about that?
Yeah, sure.
So a friend of mine is a member of the temple, and one of his jobs is to actually dig up the bodies for the cremation ceremony. This is a Balinese friend on Nusa Lembongan Island. So one of his jobs is to dig the bodies up before the cremation, which they do at night time. And he explained to me that the person is not dead until they're cremated. And he told me that he knew this was true because he would bury the bodies in one position, and when he dug them up 3, 4, 5 years later, the body was in a different position.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's why they place the umbrellas on them to give them shade, and they take them food, which they leave at the graveside. They take them drinks, they take them cigarettes, and anything else they might need while they're waiting underground.
Oh, wow. Oh, let me just point out one thing. The island of Lembongan, there's 3 islands just right off here, 30-minute boat ride away. And there's Lembongan, and then there's the big island of Benita, and then in between is the little island of Chinagan. And those are part of Bali. So then tell us about the diving experience you had.
I was a diving instructor based on Nusa Lembongan Island, and we have a dive site located maybe 150 meters offshore, just off the beach in front of the main village, which we call the house reef.
House, like a house people live in?
Yeah, it's a common name for a dive site that's off the shore, located in front of a hotel or a village. So I was diving there one morning with student divers, and it's a nice, shallow, sandy site. And I was quite surprised to see a 100,000 rupiah bill on the sand. So I swam over and picked up the money, which is around $8, David.
No, it's about $6.50 now.
Yeah. And I smiled at my students, and I took the money and put it in my pocket. And then as we were swimming around, we found more and more money, a lot of money. And I was very happy. And I assumed if someone had dropped a wallet or a purse over the side of a boat. And when we got back to the dive center, I started taking the money out of my pockets, and I explained to the Balinese dive shop owner, Putu, we had found this money, and she carefully explained to me that there had been a ceremony the evening before after a cremation where they had made the offerings into the sea. So, of course, I was mortally embarrassed and offered to get back on the boat and take the money back. But Putu explained to me that it's the Balinese tradition that once an offering has been made, then whatever happens to it is the will of the gods. It still didn't stop me from feeling terrible, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're favored by the gods. That is great.
They obviously understood that diving instructors' salaries are not so good.
So after a cremation, then the ashes are put into the ocean after a while or right away? Or?
As soon as the fire has died down and the ashes have cooled off, then the ladies actually sift through the ashes and they remove the bones, and they are searching for the hand bones. And the finger bones that they find in hand bones, they arrange them on a banana leaf in the shape of actual hands. They almost reconstruct the hand bones. And then those bones are taken over to the mother temple of the Sakti, which is the main temple on mainland Bali. And there's a ceremony there. The remainder of the ashes, yes, they have a ceremony on the beach in Bongan. And they put the ashes in a ceramic pot, and they actually put it on a small raft and send it out into the sea.
I've seen in Singaraja, I had a friend who was cremated, a German fellow, had a motorbike accident. No, he wasn't German, he's Austrian. And what they were doing in Singaraja, it looked to me like we're just going down to the water, because this is in front of a crematorium there. And so there was stuff happening all the time at various stages of the ceremonies. And they were just throwing stuff in the water with baskets and flowers and offerings and, various things. So I guess that happens too. They're really used to putting things into the water. And it's hard. I know I have a friend who has a guest house down in Buitan near Chandidasa. It's really cool to stay at, sort of a hippie place. They bake their own bread and have a kiln. Lumbundamu. Anyway, she said it's very distressing to her when she sees old ladies coming down to the ocean and just dumping all their trash into the ocean, plastic and everything. And, and she's Indonesian. Although she sounds like she's from Southern California, she's never lived in America. But she said, she's tried to talk to them about it, but that's what they always did. The ocean was, their wastebasket, and the creeks and rivers. So it's hard for them to change that. But they are changing little by little. More so in Java, I hear.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've experienced plenty of that, plenty of plastic in the ocean when you're diving.
Yeah, the problem is that the plastic came to Indonesia very quickly, and previously when they were throwing their waste in the ocean, it was all banana leaves and organic matter.
Right.
And the plastic didn't come with instructions on how to dispose of it, unfortunately.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you most kindly, Sarah, and we look forward to speaking to you again in another episode of Life in Bali.
Thank you, David. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, probably see you tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. So here we go with the last one, July 22nd, 2021.
Hey, David.
Well, hi there. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
Okay. So what's up?
Oh, not too much today. It's a beautiful day outside.
Yeah, I was out.
I heard you finished your audiobook project.
Yeah, I've sent it in, but I'm waiting to hear, what I'd like to hear is nothing, and then hear that it's all done. Because I had to send it to Shambhala, then they send it to the people they have a contract with, studio, and then they add the Shambhala stuff at the beginning and the end and do whatever they do, and then it goes to Audible. It goes to ACX. ACX then gets it ready to upload to Audible. So I'll be waiting without thinking about it until I hear, you know. It's a little more mysterious than sending a book in.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. Are you confident about it?
Well, yeah, I think it's good. It's got a personal feeling. My co-conspirator, my retired agent, who's been my primary advisor for 32 years, he thinks it's a much warmer, better feeling than professional readers.
Yeah, I think you've got a good voice for doing.
We'll see. Different people have different opinions. I think people like to hear the author read too. So, what's on your mind?
Oh, not too much really.
Mm-hmm.
How much did Katrinka tell you about the situation with YN?
No.
Yeah, it's really sad, David. This whole COVID thing is just a mess, quite honestly.
Well, she told me there was a situation, and she thought I should hear it from you.
Ah, okay.
I mean, so I certainly know about that much.
Okay. Well, I'll give you the lowdown then.
Yeah.
So, YN is, or was, 44, and he was an assistant scuba diving instructor, and he also did surf charters and fishing trips, and he had his own little boat. And with COVID, he's been out of work because there's no tourists going over to Nusa Lembongan. He lives on Lembongan, sorry. And he's married, and he has an 18-year-old son and 14-year-old twins, a boy and a girl. And so the family's been really struggling. And he has been going out on his boat fishing and fishing for his family, and any extra fish he was selling in the village to get money, and then that paid for his boat fuel. Anyway, weekend before last, he didn't have enough money to put fuel in the boat. So him and his friend who normally goes fishing with him, they decided instead to go to Tunigan Bay, where the water's pretty shallow, and they waded out looking for sea cucumbers.
Oh.
And they've never eaten sea cucumbers before. And sea cucumbers apparently are a bit like mushrooms. You can get really good ones and you can get really bad ones. And so they got sea cucumbers and grilled them and started eating them. And Ryan's two friends started vomiting. And Ryan being, he's done all his rescue training for diving and stuff like that. I'm sure Ryan was spending all the time looking after them, and he didn't vomit. And the next day, he was coming over to Bali to go to Bali Mandara Hospital because he was really not in good shape at all. But after he got over here, and then I think he was only in the hospital for about an hour, and then he passed away.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I don't know whether it's like standard that they do this, but they tested him for COVID, and he was positive. So, but I blame COVID anyway, because if it wasn't for COVID, he wouldn't have been out picking sea cucumbers.
Yeah.
And then, because Nusa Lembongan is officially part of Klungkung Regency,
right,
the body had to be taken up to Klungkung to be cremated. They weren't allowed to take it back to Lembongan, obviously. So that was at the weekend. So on the day of the cremation, his son was sending me some videos actually of the cremation because I did a GoFundMe thing for them. And the cremation was horrible, David. It starts out, normally they sit on the floor and the priest is ringing the bell and the body's laid out on a table or whatever. So they did the bell ringing, and they're sitting on the floor in the car park of the morgue, and the body is inside the morgue.
Yeah.
And then after they finish all the bell ringing, then, it's men in hazmat suits coming out carrying the coffin, which then they put in a car and drive up to Klung Kung with, like, proper full-on police escort with flashing lights. And then, then they did the cremation, which, it's not like when they do normal cremations and they build the pyre and it's all wood and stuff like this. It's basically like, huge gas tanks, like giant inland bong. Inland bong, and it's all wood. Don't use gas at all.
Yeah.
But it was just pretty grim, actually. And then after that, then they was able to do the thing that they normally do on Lembongan, where they pick through the ashes and try and find the bones.
Yeah.
So they were still allowed to do that. And then, then they took the bones to one of the sea temples to put them in the water, and then I guess the ashes that they'll take up to Bisakti. Yeah, so it was really sad. And also, like, I thought that the COVID cremations and things were funded by the government, but they had to pay for the whole taking it up to Klung Kung and the police escort and all the rest of it, and the families, really doesn't have any money. Yeah, it's just really sad.
You have a URL for the way somebody could donate to them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What is it?
Do you want me to send it to you on WhatsApp?
Sure. And I'll put it in here. gogetfunding.com/funding-campaign-for-Wayan, WAYAN Silawatu, SILAWATA, Silawata. The fact that he was cremated at all means, that's expensive. Most people bury, as you know, and we've talked about, bury the bodies and wait till there's a big group cremation and then get in on it.
Yeah, I guess they can't do that with the COVID factor. Then I guess they get on with the cremation. But as well with the COVID, you're only allowed only 15 people could attend in the car park. And if he died on the islands, the streets would have been packed. I know obviously that's not a good thing given the coronavirus situation, but there would have been hundreds of people. The village would have come out for him. So to be done over here on mainland Bali and just 15 people, it's, I know there's a lot of families going through similar things around the world, but it is just really sad, especially because he was always such a strong man, a really kind man, but physically he was very strong. And you just don't expect.
So he died of sea cucumber poisoning, really?
Basically, yeah. I mean, it might be that his immune system was weakened from COVID. I guess that's always possible, right? But essentially it was a sea cucumber. Yeah.
But your other point is that he wouldn't have been doing it without COVID is well taken, because to me, the numbers that should be used are the excess death numbers, which are twice as much as the COVID death numbers.
Yeah.
Are near that. There's an international health statistics outfit that says that the actual number of people who've died because of COVID is about double worldwide, what they're saying, and same for America. Not quite double for America. I'd say 3-4 months ago they had it at about 950,000 for America, and when it was, at 500 and 70,000 or something, the official count there. And you know, the forces that want to downplay the whole COVID thing say, oh, they're counting everybody, you know, and not nearly that many people are dying. It's the opposite. Many, many more are dying than the numbers we hear.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that there would be a lot more, I guess. The
Yeah.
same with the actual number of cases, because not everyone who is COVID positive even knows themselves, right?
Oh, right. Absolutely. It's all over the map. One woman explained it. She's a Dutch Indonesian, born here, like fourth generation, third generation. She'd say, and her sister is a total COVID denier. And I've done podcasts with both of them. But anyway, oh yeah. And she said, I tell my sister it's like herpes. You know, some people, you know, don't have any response, and some people have very serious responses, and, you know, you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, like you say, until you actually contract it, you have no idea how your body's going to react to it at all, right?
Yeah, my older son, who's an extremely healthy person who eats well, is very active. He's a tree trimmer. Well, he's got a business, a big business with it, but he'd spent a lot of time in trees. And he's also a mycologist, amateur mycologist, but an extremely knowledgeable one. So he knows the mushrooms to take to build your immune system, and he's got a naturopath doctor and a conventional doctor, and he did everything right, but he didn't want to get vaccinated, so he got it, and he almost died. Took him a month to get over it.
Wow.
And he said it was the worst illness he had in his life. And he said it wasn't like getting sick. It was like being invaded by a menacing alien force that wanted to get you.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. But, you know, I know people who are not particularly in good shape and are older, and it just passed by them like a cold. So it's really unpredictable.
It is, and I think there's a lot of danger in, you know, because it's been said a lot in the UK, you know, oh, it's no worse than the flu, it's just a common cold, this sort of thing. But I think as long as people are believing that, it stops people from being so careful or not taking it so seriously.
Yeah. Well, that's being pushed by Russian bots. Russia's put a tremendous amount of energy into downplaying it in the West, and, you know, getting certain people elected, and they've been extremely effective. It's, you know, they're just trying to do everything possible to weaken the West, and they've been very, very successful. And that's one of the things they do. And the people have found if they pick up on that stuff and just spread lies and disinformation, they can make a lot of money off it because it's more sexy than telling the truth, which is boring.
Well, you know, I really struggle now, especially now this late on in the pandemic, that there's still people saying it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense. How can you deny that it's, you know, it's basically all around you, whichever country you're in on the planet, it's definitely here.
Yeah, there's an enormous number of people, a very high percentage, who believe just total nonsense, and it's obvious nonsense. It's not hard to see what's happening, but there's been so much. Energy put into discrediting mainstream media and science and established sources of information, which have often been horrible liars, especially around wars. So they've earned it. But I think they're doing a good job now. I don't think they've ever been better.
Well, social media has such a big part to play in things as well now.
Oh, yeah. Social media is just a petri dish for disinformation, and it's rampant.
Absolutely rampant. And the thing is as well that the platforms like Facebook and Google and YouTube and these sorts of things, they really do track your activity. So they see that, if you watch a video which is pro-Trump, then it's going to start putting more things along those lines into your news feed. So you'll be exposed to more of it. And then you watch it, and then you'll be exposed to even more of it. So it's almost like self-perpetuating. Yeah. If you're someone who believes that COVID doesn't exist, then all of the news you're going to see on your social media platforms online is that COVID doesn't exist. So you're just going to believe that more and more and more. So it's really, it's not a good thing at all.
Yeah. Biden just talked about it. He said Facebook is killing people.
I mean, if you boil it down to bare basics, then there is truth behind that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something I do a lot of advertising on Facebook and on Google ads and YouTube and things like this. And in a commercial sense, it's very useful because it means that your ads are getting shown to people who've expressed an interest in whatever service or commodity it is you're selling. But in the fake news kind of situation, it's really a problem.
It doesn't look good at all. I wouldn't bet on democracy and truth surviving. I would only pray for it. This isn't anything new. You can find quotes that go way back in history. Mark Twain said something like, a lie travels around the world while the truth is still tying its shoelaces.
Oh, I haven't heard that before, but I like it.
Yeah, and there's something sticky and appealing about misinformation.
Yeah. Well, conspiracy theories have been around for as long as always, really, haven't they? People like to believe in something that's off the wall.
Franklin Roosevelt gave a talk, where in the 40s, naturally he died in 45, he gave a talk, or maybe late 44, I don't know, somewhere in his long political career, he said, and he was talking about Republicans, he said they're using the Hitler playbook. He said, and Hitler spelled it out in Mein Kampf, and that is, when you lie, lie big, and keep repeating it. And if you keep repeating it, people will start to believe it.
Especially if they're not hearing anything to the contrary, right?
Well, yeah, usually the ones who are lying big are using a big megaphone and putting all sorts of energy and getting all sorts of fanatic followers behind to repeat their whatever lies they're telling, and the success of that brought about World War II, the rise of the military in Japan, of Hitler in Germany, of Mussolini in Italy, and the deaths of like 60 million people, and they always think it's going to go away and now we'll be reasonable, but it's just it's a perennial problem that human beings have. But my view is that climate change is going to be like a giant wave that washes over all of it and will make everything else irrelevant.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that, actually.
Yeah.
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 The other thing with the COVID situation in Indonesia, actually two things with it. The first is, talking with Wayan's family.
Yeah.
They are trying to keep it quiet that he had tested positive for COVID because, first of all, they feel there's a slight stigma attached to it. Second of all, they don't really want to go and get tested. One, because they can't afford to get tested. And two, if they tested positive and they all have to isolate, then who's going to go out and try and do the fishing or try and earn some money or anything else? So that's really an issue. And the other thing, this may well be another conspiracy theory, actually, but in terms of Indonesia receiving foreign aid because of the COVID situation, it does help that the numbers are high, because obviously when your numbers go down, then you stop receiving aid. And I've heard a few people talking about hospitals receiving funding according to their COVID numbers.
But, yeah, that's one thing that might be pushing the numbers up. But I think the desire to get tourists back in would be a force to push numbers down.
Yeah, you would think, but if the numbers are being generated by the hospital, who is directly benefiting from it, then I don't know. Like I say, I'm not a conspiracy theory people, but I do absolutely 100% believe that corruption is rife in Indonesia.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. The numbers here rose dramatically this week. Well, I can't remember what day it is. Oh, it's Tuesday. Say in the last 10 days.
Yeah, I think on Saturday we went over 1,000 cases on a day on Bali.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
right.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's extremely high for here. And they're a little down now. And I think Katrina said this morning, she said, the numbers are going down. She said, but the deaths are going up. And I said, yeah, that's because deaths tend to lag about 2 weeks behind the spikes in the numbers of people testing positive.
Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense.
Maybe 10 days or a week to 2 weeks behind it. Anyway, yeah, boy, think here we are in July, and you and I were dealing with this when Katrina was in America back in April
Wow.
of 2020. We never imagined it would be even worse now.
Yeah, and it really is even worse now. I know that in Germany they're preparing for a third wave to hit in the autumn, and my lovely country, the UK, has now kind of come out of all the COVID restrictions since yesterday, actually, and I just think that's going to be another wave, because the numbers, every time they've dropped a restriction, the numbers have gone up, and they drop another restriction and the numbers go up again. But Boris Johnson's continued to push forward with it, so we will see what happens there.
Yeah. Well, they're saying that England doing that and Germany doing that and America doing that is going to create more, what do they call it, more varieties. What do they call them?
Oh, yeah. Variants.
Variants. There you go.
Yeah.
Variant. Yeah.
But I think that's the nature of a virus, isn't it? I mean, they continue to mutate.
Yeah, but a lot of viruses have mutated down into being less and less harmful. This one seems to be particularly intelligent.
Yeah.
Particularly skillful in adapting. But the one back in 1916, 17, it was around for 2 years. So let's see if this beats that.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, you would expect it to, well, I was actually going to say, in theory, you would think it may take longer because you have so much more mobility of people around the world now compared to what you had back then. But the flip side of that is that, obviously medical technology is much more advanced now than it was back then.
Yeah. They had like 50 million people die. We're not talking about numbers anywhere approaching that. They had 10 times the numbers back then. And also, that one was particularly hard on young men and pregnant women. There were all these healthy young men dying. All these soldiers in World War I died more than from anything.
I did not know that, actually.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Pregnant women, too. Isn't that weird? That's really malicious.
Yeah, that is. As well, with the vaccines being pushed out, then the number of people requiring hospitalization should start to go down. But on Lembongan, they only just started with the first vaccinations very recently, and Wayan hadn't been vaccinated yet.
Oh, But Lembongan had the lowest numbers in Bali for a long time.
Yeah, well, they stayed COVID-free, actually, for a remarkably long time at the beginning.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, something like this with boats going backwards and forwards, I guess it's inevitable, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Whoa. Well, well, we live in a dangerous and precarious world here, but we're lucky. We're some of the luckiest people on earth.
We sure are.
We're doing what we can to help others, and I know you are, and have to be careful not to do too much so that we have to be helped.
Yeah, that's right. Also,
And it's a little weird because we really are supported by donations. Here we talk about a couple of books of mine that just came out, and then we go into talking about her books.
I would love to have a hardback book published. That's very nice. I like my two guidebooks when you put them side by side. They have the same, that you can see that they're a matching pair, if you like.
Oh, really? Don't remind me of the names of them, would you?
So there's Diving in Indonesia.
Subtitle.
A Guide to the World's Best Diving, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then Diving in Southeast Asia.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it. I know about Diving in Indonesia.
Published by Perry Plus.
All right. Well, very good. I think we've covered all the important items.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the next time we meet, which is certainly not often enough.
I know, absolutely. I still don't know if we're coming out of lockdown tomorrow.
I haven't been going to the beach because, nobody goes to the beach where we go,
Yeah.
But, I mean, usually there's just a handful of people there. Didn't want to take a chance.
No, the word deportation has been mentioned too many times recently for me to think it's worth taking any sort of risk.
Yeah. Well, yes, I have emphasized that in our family meetings here. Okay. Well, all right. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks, David.
Okay, thank you very much. Take care, and I do look forward to the next time we meet face to face.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Take care.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye. Well, that's it. That's the end of our presentation of Podcast with Sarah. Hey, sorry that ended so abruptly. You know what I imagine happened is we kept talking, and I didn't have anything good recorded for an ending. You know, we probably say goodbye. Hey, wait a minute. I wanted to talk to you about something. And, you know, it was not something. There's a lot of that in the podcasts I do. Anyway, farewell, Sarah. Thank you for making these podcasts. I really appreciate it. You have a beautiful voice. You had a beautiful voice and really good for recording and really poised. And anyway, we'll miss you. I'll be talking with you. I talk with people after they've passed on. I experience us as always together, although our personalities, ourselves, they're not permanent. But anyway, maybe I'm just fooling myself, huh? So this has been a Cuke audio podcast of Life in Bali. And I'm DC, Poobah of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sanur with Dogge Bandita, Feline Manis, and dear, lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.